Imagine a man in the 12th century. By day he's a judge, handing out legal verdicts under one of the strictest Islamic regimes. By night, he's scribbling notes under candlelight, writing commentaries on Aristotle, the ancient Greek pagan philosopher. The caliph himself reads his work. And he's not doing this in secret. That man was Averroes. Yes, Averroes, also known as Ibn Rushd, the philosopher from Islamic Spain who dared to suggest something scandalous even today. In fact, if done right, they are partners. Religion and philosophy are not enemies. Now pause, because right there, we already have a controversy. In today's world, when someone tries to interpret religion philosophically, he's labeled a deviant, a heretic, or a YouTuber with a limited shelf life. But Averroes, not a rebel, not an outsider, but a scholar, deeply rooted in the very tradition he was challenging. With logic, he was a kuka judge in Islamic law. Averroes believed that society should be divided. No, not economically or racially, but intellectually. Said there are three classes of people: the masses, who understand religion only through literal meaning; the theologians, who rely on dialectical reasoning; the philosophers, who, by using demonstrative reasoning, can understand the real truth hidden behind the religious metaphors. So in his view, the Quran's literal meanings are for the general publicand. That's fine. But the philosopher has a religious duty to look beyond that and interpret the text logically. Imagine that. He wasn't rejecting Islam. He was saying, God gave us brains. Use them. You interpret the Quran symbolically. One of his boldest stances was this: when reason contradicts the literal meaning of the Qur'an. Example, the creation of the universe. Most Muslims believe the universe had a beginning. Averroes, he sided with Aristotle, saying the universe had always existed. But wait, wasn't that against Islamic belief? Not exactly. He argued that nothing in the Quran explicitly denies that possibility, as he read it literally. So he said, let's reinterpret the verses, not reject reason. This was a man who walked the fine line between belief and boldness. Now here's where things get spicy. Islam teaches resurrection, the dead rising, personal accountability, the hereafter. Averroes believed in immortality, yes, but not personal. He interpreted Aristotle to mean that only the universal intellect is immortal. You and I will perish, but the shared intellect of humanity lives on. Now before you yell blasphemy, understand he still upheld belief in the afterlife publicly. He even said denying it makes you a heretic. But underneath, he left a trail of philosophical breadcrumbs, suggesting maybe personal immortality isn't so literal either. This wasn't hypocrisy, it was survival. He knew the limits of his time, and he knew how to push them without being burned alive most of the time. Averroes' work wasn't just read in Islamic lands. In fact, his real fame came after his books were translated into Latin and Hebrew. In Europe, the Latin Averroists, Christian scholars, loved him. They didn't reject Christianity. They simply believed there were two kinds of truth. One from religion, one from reason, and both could exist fucking if they didn't match. Averroes became the intellectual fuel for Thomas Aquinas, Moses of Narbonne, and countless Renaissance thinkers. He was banned in his homeland, but he became a philosophical rock star in Europe. Talk about poetic justice. Fortunately, not everyone in the Muslim world was impressed. The public who wanted religion without reflection turned against him. Oh, la, la, la. The Almohads banned his books and exiled him in 1195. 2 years later, he returned. But the damage was done. He died shortly after, largely uncelebrated in the land he tried to enlighten.